You know that feeling, right? When you're trying to teach a child to memorize something and you're just met with tears and resistance. It can feel so helpless. But what if the problem isn't actually the child? We're going to look at a really simple shift in perspective that might just change everything.
Let's just start with this idea right here, because it is powerful. Your child doesn't hate the Quran, he hates the way it's being taught. Wow. That one sentence really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? It forces us to ask, when a kid is struggling, is the problem really with them, or is it the method we're using?
And you know, the best way to see this in action is through a story. It's a story that I bet is going to sound really familiar to a lot of you parents out there, all about good intentions hitting a brick wall of frustration.
So, a mother came to me, and you could just hear the worry in her voice. She said, "My child is smart, but he absolutely refuses to memorize and cries before every single class." You feel that, don't you? She sees his potential, but she's up against this emotional barrier, the crying, the refusal, and she just can't figure out why.
Okay, so this is where a lot of us, honestly, can make a huge mistake. Our first instinct is to diagnose the child, right? We think, oh, they're being difficult, or maybe they're just not trying hard enough. But what if that whole diagnosis is just plain wrong? So yeah, this mother was convinced the problem was her son, his attitude, maybe his abilities, something inside him. But the real reason for all those tears, for that struggle before class, it was hiding in the process itself.
Let's really dig into what's not working in the way we often teach memorization. It pretty much all boils down to this battle between pressure and motivation. And here's the thing. When you dial up the pressure, that internal motivation almost always takes a nosedive. This right here, this puts us right in the child's shoes. Just imagine for a second, being told to memorize words you don't even understand. They're just sounds, right? And then you're told to repeat them over and over and over. The whole thing happens under this heavy cloud of pressure to perform, and it just completely crushes any natural desire to learn. It stops being discovery and just becomes a chore.
So what's the answer? Well, it's not about finding some new trick to make the child try harder. The real solution is actually in making one simple but fundamental change to the method itself. It's all about shifting our focus.
And what's so great about this is how simple it is. We're not talking about some complicated new curriculum. It was just one single adjustment to the approach. And that one thing, it unlocked a totally different result. Let me show you what that looks like. This just lays it all out so clearly. Look at the left, the old way. Memorize first. Now look at the right, the new way. Understand first. That is the whole game changer. Instead of just making a child repeat a verse, you first explain what it means in simple terms. And bam, suddenly the words have meaning. They have context. And instead of that endless, frustrating repetition, the focus shifts to gentle correction. The whole feeling changes from intense pressure to genuine motivation.
So what happens when you make this one tiny shift? The result is, well, it's pretty staggering. It completely flips the script on what we thought was even possible. Just let that sink in for a minute. The very same child who was crying before every single class started asking for more classes on his own. That is the huge difference between being forced to do something and wanting to do it. The problem was never the subject. It was the feeling of frustration that came with the method. All right, so this brings us to the most important part of all. Now it's our turn. It's time to take this idea and apply it to our own lives with our own kids or our own students. So if you're that parent, if you see your own child in this story with the frustration, the tears, the pushback, there's one crucial question you have to ask yourself before you do anything else. And that's it, right there. So often the responsibility for change isn't on the student, it's on the teacher. The real question is, are we willing to change our method to fit the child? Or are we just waiting and hoping that the child will eventually change to fit our broken method? Thinking about that, well, that can open up a